back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody. I am joined alongside with my special guest and good friend, Advaith Kumar. And today we are going over how dominant the Chicago Bears defense has been so far this year and why defensive coordinator Sean Desai was the guy and everyone should be buying him a drink in Chicago moving forward. Khalil Mack is back. Roquan Smith is a Pro Bowler, and the secondary is shocking the NFL world from where they were after week one. But before we dive into it, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Stupid Car Tray, as always. Stupid Car Tray saves the day. Celebrate this week's Bears victory with a deep dish pizza from Lou's and make sure that it gets home safe and secure with a Stupid Car Tray. Get 60% off your entire order using JAY16. That's code J16 at checkout at the link in the description. Have any questions? Make sure you post a comment or visit the website. Advaith, welcome back to the show. Great to have you, man.
Yeah, man, it's always an honor to be talking to you, and I love coming on your show.
Yeah, I know this is probably your favorite subject besides Justin Fields. So let's kind of jump into it and give a high-level view of the defense, and then I'll ask you some questions. How does that sound?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, so 2021 so far for the Chicago Bears defense is Sean Desai's first year as a defensive coordinator. He has worked in the Chicago Bears as a scout and a defensive assistant for Vic Fangio and Chuck Pagano over the last couple of years. This is Sean Desai was called upon this offseason after last year's defensive coordinator, Chuck Pagano, ended up retiring from the NFL. Best of luck and happy trails to him. And so far, Sean Desai has the number 8 defense in the NFL through week 5. Here's where the defense ranks. They are ranked 12th in passing, 12th in rushing. 12th in passing yards allowed, just to clarify, 12th in rushing yards allowed, 7th in total points allowed, and that makes them 8th overall. Advaith, what has Sean Desai done that has impressed you so far? Obviously, those numbers are very impressive, but what has he done so far to help improve this defense from the Chuck Pagano era?
Yeah, I mean, I think what he's doing really, really well, unlike what Pagano did, is he's really adapting to this defense, and he's really adapting to what certain players are like. You know, what is Robert Quinn like? What is Khalil Mack like? What is Kendall Goodor like? What are Eddie Goldman like? What are all these players like, and what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses? And you often saw in Chuck Pagano where he would, put Khalil Mack back to cover the tight ends, or Robert Quinn back to cover the tight ends. And that would kind of hurt the Bears defense because both of them, while they are elite, they're not built to cover some fast tight ends in the NFL. So I think that's what I really love about Sean Desai, how he's adapting to certain players and how, he's really helping certain players get to where they are by adapting to their strengths and, making that defense adapt to each player's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially after that week 1 against the LA Rams. He really came a long way and proved that he wasn't just going to put his tail in between his legs and go, all right, well, let's better luck next week. He took the measures he had to do in order to get the bounce back win in week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals. From there, the Bears have just done much, much better. So, Advaith, let's go into the front 7 to start things off. The Bears are absolute sack machines this year. They lead the league even after last night's game with 18 sacks through 5 games. They're averaging a little bit more than 3 sacks per game as a team. Just a quick run through of who is the sack machines for the Chicago Bears. Khalil Mack has 5 sacks. He actually could have 7. He's had 2 of them called back on defensive interference penalties or, roughing the passer penalties. So Khalil Mack has 5. Robert Quinn, a guy who's having a great bounce back year, his second year of his contract with the Chicago Bears, has 4.5 sacks. Roquan Smith has 2 sacks. Travis Gibson, sophomore guy who is coming onto the scene, has 2 sacks. Mario Edwards Jr. has a 1.5 sacks. And then Tayshaun Gibson Sr. and Bilal Nichols both have 1. And Akeem Hicks and Angelo Blackson, a free agent that the Bears just picked up, has 0.5 sack each. So, hey, Advaith, just in regards to that, how impressed are you with just how the Bears are getting after the quarterback this year from previous years?
I mean, what I love about this Bears line is we are so good. If you shut down one player, if you double team Khalil Mack, you're going to have other guys coming and sacking them. And you even saw this with Travis Gibson. Travis Gibson is a rotational player for Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack when they get tired. But even a guy like him is excelling at the highest level because, that defense is being adapted to his strengths. And I think this really goes out to Sean Desai, but also whoever that defensive line coach is, deserves a huge praise. I mean, I think it was Rodgers last year, who's now with the Chargers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
So
you're
whoever
correct.
is taking upon that role right now is doing an amazing job. And, who knows? Maybe this new guy is better than Rodgers. I just don't know who it is at the top of my head.
Nah, no worries, no worries. We'll get to that for next episode because we're gonna have a check-in at week 10 how the defense is doing. But you got to also remember that you got a guy named Roquan Smith on the team and Alec Ogletree. So Roquan Smith is 4th in the NFL in total tackles. He has 40 tackles on the year. Roquan Smith is looking like an absolute dominant player. Should have gotten a Pro Bowl last year. Should have been an All-Pro last year. But also, he's getting help from a guy named Alec Ogletree, who the Bears picked up later in the offseason. Alec Ogletree was literally at Hallis Hall hanging out with Robert Quinn as Robert Quinn was watching his sister get an Olympic gold medal. And he has 30 tackles, so he's not that far behind Roquan Smith, and he's being rotated in now because Danny Trevathan is back off injury. So both of our linebackers as well are doing a fantastic job, or all overall our linebackers are doing a fantastic job going after the running back, going after the quarterback, and making sure that no short passes are getting out of the play. Now, I want to rephrase again for you really fast in regards to that, putting this all together, Advaith, is that Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack are working together, and that has helped Robert Quinn come back. He already has doubled his sack amount from last year. He had 2 sacks on the year last year. He has 4.5 now this year. So he is back. He's really doing well from his injury. So the front 7 has been absolutely crazy this year, Advaith, and there's a lot to do with Mack, Quinn, and Roquan Smith. Mack and Quinn are both locked up for the next couple of years with contracts, but this is Roquan Smith's final year of his rookie contract. How much, in your opinion, should the Bears be paying Roquan Smith? Because you got to consider, you got guys like Allen Robinson who want to get paid if the Bears want to keep him. You have a lot of other key parts of this team that need to get re-signed. What do you pay Roquan Smith? Do you work around, or does he get a max contract? What do you think he deserves?
Yeah, I think Roquan Smith definitely deserves a max contract, like maybe around 20 to 25 million per year. But again, we also have a lot of contracts that we have to take care of, like Allen Robinson and others. I think with Allen Robinson, it's kind of a little bit hard for us to diagnose what's really going on with him because he hasn't really had the same amount of touches as he has before. Now, is that because he's not being targeted, or is it because we actually have a quarterback now that doesn't go to his first read every single time? Maybe that's the reason, but I don't know. So, I think it's definitely something that Bears have to look into and create some more cap, maybe trading some guys. But we definitely have to see what happens, and I'm excited for it. I'm really excited to see what Ryan Pace does in terms of contracts and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. And Roquan Smith has been one of Pace's for sure better drafts. It probably his best first round draft pick besides Justin Fields, but we don't know. Roquan Smith is definitely a proven player for the Chicago Bears, and he's doing a really great job. So hopefully we keep him around for a long time. He reminds a lot of the older generation of Mike Singletary, or, kind of plays like a Brian Urlacher to a degree. So hopefully Roquan Smith stays around. One thing more I want to go over is the secondary. The secondary is ranked 12th in the NFL right now for total passing yards given up. This is after losing Pro Bowler Kyle Fuller, a horrible couple games against the Browns and the Rams, and they're still in 12th place. So they're doing a really good job when they are consistent and put together. You have Eddie Jackson, who's looking like he's back, especially after that horrible week 1 game. I know you and I kind of talked about it before. He doesn't have any takeaways yet, but could be a great game against the Green Bay Packers coming up for him to do so. And then you have Jalen Johnson, the second-year guy out of Utah, drafted in the 2nd round, had a chip on his shoulder, fought some injuries in college. He's the number 3 corner, according to PPF, through the first 5 weeks of the season. So he is a very impressive for a second-year player. He's battled through injuries, and he is taking on that role of the cornerback position as Kyle Fuller left. So, Advaith, you also have some important glue guys on the secondary. It's not just Eddie Jackson and Jalen Johnson. You have Tayshaun Gibson Sr., Duke Shelley, Kendall Vildor, Deion Bush, and DeAndre Houston Carson, who are also doing a really good job in stepping up. Who is shocking you the most so far this season in the secondary that's more of a glue guy?
Yeah, I think I would really like Duke Shelley and Deion Bush and, both of those players because they've been doing really, really well against some very good wide receivers. And, that nickel spot is still an issue for us. But to see Duke Shelley, last game, he didn't really have that bad of a game. He was pretty good, honestly. And Deion Bush, was also pretty good in his time filling in for Tayshaun Gibson. And DeAndre Houston Carson has also been pretty impressive, picking off Derek Carr. But I really am proud of this whole Bears team and all these cornerbacks for stepping it up and, really making a name for themselves.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Secondary is doing a really impressive job, and they got to keep it up in order to beat the Green Bay Packers. Speaking of, the Bears play the Packers this Sunday at noon at Soldier Field in the Week 6 matchup. The Bears could tie for first place with the win, so we're hoping for that. Advait, quick question for you because I know you got to go. Will the offense step up this weekend against the tough Green Bay Packers team, or will the defense have to be out there most of the game in order to seal the deal and have a chance for the Bears to win this one?
I mean, I think that to put it short and sweet, the Packers defense sucks right now, and I think the offense will come through. I think Justin Fields will come through, and I think he will shock Aaron Rodgers. And I think that, the Bears will put up a good amount of points against the Green Bay Packers.
Great. And do you have a score prediction for this Sunday's game?
I would probably say 21-17 at the top of my head.
And you're saying the Bears are going to win it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the attitude we like to have. All positive vibes here at Just Another Year Chicago. Advait, thanks for jumping on. As always, man, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, thank you for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Dick Brody, joined alongside Advait Kamur, and we'll see you guys next time.